Hello, my love, and welcome back to Being That Woman. On today's episode, I'm going to speak into how to find peace when he has moved on. I think that so many women have been there in this breakup and you're still trying to figure things out. You're still trying to process everything. You're still trying to really just understand what's gone on and find that sense of self-dignity. And then you find out that he's moved on and it's completely blindsided you. And it sends you into this like complete and utter tailspin. And something I just want to share here is it doesn't matter if it's a rebound that he's with or if he's finally met his person and he's going to ride off into the sunset and be happily married ever after. Doesn't matter. What matters here is your reaction and how you have responded to it. And there's some beautiful lessons and magic in this experience, as much as it is uncomfortable. One of the first things that I just want to put on the table, and this might sound harsh, but the reality is it's over. And the reality is that he's moved on. Now, trying to fight with reality is going to create more stress and more trauma and more fear. And it's just going to create more discomfort for yourself. And it can be the hardest thing to start challenging your mind to see differently because your body feels all of the emotion. Your body is feeling all of the sadness and all of the pain. And that's why we really just want to meet ourselves there. We really want to accept what we're feeling, whether it is rage, anger, whether it is sadness and deep, deep grief. Because one of the things that I found that when I broke up with my ex is I'd done so much emotional processing, like in the relationship, during the breakup, in the 6-month breakup that we had. And one of the things that I didn't actually give myself a chance to do until years later was actually grieving the relationship, grieving what could have been and what I wanted to be and what that version and that part of me wanted. Because as I evolved out of the relationship and out of the breakup stage, I embodied a new woman, a more confident woman, a very peaceful woman, a very assured woman, because I'd done the work. But there was still a version of me prior to that who really deeply wanted to be with that person. We get to accept that a part of us wanted that, and a part of us wants to feel an emotion that's connected to that longing and to that desire. But it's really important that we accept what is. If you've ever studied the work of Katie Byron, she's a really, really credible pioneer in the self-development space where we get to look at what is true. And the truth is that it's over. The truth is that he's moved on. The truth is that we're experiencing something because of that. However, what is really easy, and this is where I see women having a really hard time in being able to find acceptance, because underneath the experience of what they can see, he's moved on, maybe you haven't. What you can see is that. However, underneath it, what's coming through from the emotional body, from the pain body, from the subconscious, is more than likely a part of you that's feeling rejected, that's feeling abandoned, that's feeling resentful. We get to look at how we're rejecting ourselves in that moment of giving our energy to him and to what's going on and to the why and to the story and trying to figure things out to feel safe. We're already rejecting ourselves because we're not actually being with ourselves in our truth. Because the truth is you're a badass bitch and he's moved on and that's okay. And you get to move the fuck on as well. Truth is that it wasn't meant to be, because if it was, then the reality would be that you would be together. Being able to really hold yourself and not abandon yourself in those moments is the empowerment that you get to experience in a breakup and when he's moved on. Why? So that you can. I'm not talking about you jumping into another relationship here. Doesn't mean that because he's moved on, you have to jump into another relationship. And yes, for sure, people do jump into relationships because they want to escape the feeling of a breakup. They want to escape the pain in which they're feeling by just getting on with it and getting on with someone else. Whether that is you, Cool. You get to explore that. Maybe you've moved on and he hasn't. But either way, the abandonment, the rejection, and the betrayal that we feel and the resentment that we feel more often than not is coming from us doing that to ourselves. Because when we see someone else has moved on, it's super, super easy to start making it mean something about us. It's so easy to sit in the victim story of, oh, why me? What about her? I know that so many women, self included, we've sat in that space where we analyze her. Maybe we stalk her profile and we look at her and we wonder, like, what does she have that I don't have or didn't have? And we compare ourselves. There's no shame in that because we're human. And also, you get to remember that we are living in a society where generations before us, women were pit up against each other. We're talking centuries and centuries of women being in fear of other women, judging other women. And a woman who is a certain way or expressed herself or was, let's say, not like the status quo, any woman like that, she would be hung or she would be put on a witch stake, you know? So we've held so much fear in wanting to be different than, but also we then question, oh, well, what is it about her? Because like I'm trying to be like every other woman, so I don't understand what it is. Why does she get the fairy tale that I wanted and I don't get it? And again, we're rejecting ourselves in that moment. Because the minute we start comparing her to us, we immediately start rejecting ourselves because we're not owning fully who we are. Rather than sitting in what's magical about us, what's amazing about us, the minute that we do that, we're in lack, we're in limitation, and we're in scarcity. So this is why it's really important to check in with yourself, to start noticing where your mind goes in to the victim mentality, to the comparison loop, to the fear and the monkey brain of going back to really deep old conditioning of I'm not good enough, there must be something wrong with me, and I'm damaged goods, and gosh, if he didn't want me, who else will? And equally at the same time, I want to put something on the table here. Equal parts and equal measures, if you look at her and be like, I'm so much better than her. Like he is her problem now. We're still looking at it from a lens of scarcity. Because in order to put yourself up and above, you're having to drop her and him down. Which, you know, I know for no shame in doing that. And I know so many women do it. And we have a tendency to do it because we want to better ourselves, because we need to reassure ourselves. And by doing that, we have to shame on her or him equally, to the both of them together. Maybe there is a time where you do get to do that for a little bit. But what you really want to do and what you really want to check in with is if you are sitting in that and you are using it as some sort of fuel and ammunition to feel better than yourself, to reassure yourself. Because the truth is, you don't need to put another woman down or you don't need to put your ex down in order to feel good about yourself. That's just playing a strategy of I need something outside of me to prove to me that I'm good enough because I don't have the natural minerals to do it myself, or I don't have them yet to do it myself. And this is why, as well, you don't need to move on. Jumping into another relationship after a traumatic experience like a breakup, and you get to choose like what the experience meant for you, but really giving yourself time and space to land in yourself. I can say for me, having been now 10 years single since my breakup, and I have had experiences since. I have had long relationships somewhat, and I've had extended dating experiences. So I haven't fully been single, like no man, no dating, no nada. However, I have been 10 years out of a fully committed relationship where I could see it going somewhere. Actually, bell one. Anyway, with that, I can honestly say that me having that time and that space to be with myself, I've honestly learned to really get to know myself, that I don't think that I could have done in relationship, not in the way in which I have done anyway. And then equally at the same time, I've really given myself space to know what it feels like to be me, to be on my own, to not have to think about someone else, to not have to put someone else's needs and wants on the table, as a consideration. And that's definitely part of being in a relationship. You have to do that. And it can take away from you. It can take away from your sense of self. And there's no right and wrong in this. Being in a relationship, yes, you can learn about yourself 100%. It's the biggest workshop you'll ever go to. Also, equally being single, you will. But what's important is that you get to choose what feels good for you, not from avoidance, not from fear, not from exhaustion and I can't do that anymore, but just from a real sense of peace and abundance and feeling really, really energized in who you are is really important. So being single for a time has its pros. It has its cons as well, because there can be some real deep, dark experiences as a single woman, that can happen, especially if you see that he's moved on. And women get it so much more worse about being single, especially if you're in your 40s like me. There is that societal stigma of like, oh, there's something wrong with her. Like, she's not been in a relationship for a very long time. I wonder what that is. And more often than not, that voice is coming from ourselves. It's coming from that fearful monkey brain where we have been conditioned to think of ourselves as less worthy if we're not in a relationship or with a man. And times are absolutely changing. And I also just want to put on the table that this also isn't exclusive to women. So many men have this as well. But we're here to talk about you and your unique experience. So what I want to do is I really want to get into some how-tos, because every woman wants to feel peace. Finding peace within yourself and fulfillment and loving yourself when you're single is literally the best prerequisite and the best setup essentially to then go into a relationship and attract a healthy partner. From that place, and when I say finding peace and love and confidence and fulfillment in yourself, I'm not talking about, I don't need a man. That's also a fight response and a push back and a push away response. What I'm talking about is I'm good as I am, and I'm open to exploring men, and I'm open to exploring relationships and dating and all of the things. And I'm not in a rush, and I'm not going to come at it from I need energy or I have to energy. It's going to come from desire and pleasure and curiosity and wonderment and attraction energy. And those two experiences are completely different. So when you really learn how to move on without having to date or hyperdate, or even really think about that for a little while, when you can really do that and really learn to give yourself what you need and what you want and actually do it, because we can conceptualize what we want and what we need, and then there's the embodiment piece of actually doing it for ourselves. When we can really strip back those layers, and there are so many layers, you set yourself up for having the best relationship with your life. You become your greatest love story. You literally become the woman who loves herself so deeply that another man will never be able to love you like that. He can come in with full cup love and it will be amazing to receive, but you already love yourself enough. You love yourself more than enough. So that means that there's no attachment. There's no need. There's no looking for him to fill a void or to try and complete you or to heal your wounds and to heal the stories, because you've already done the work and been a woman that embodies the energy of I can meet myself when I fall into that victim story. Oh, I can meet myself when I know that I've been triggered and I go into a fight response. Oh, I know that I can meet myself when he goes away and I miss him and I don't feel like I need to constantly be checking in or wondering what he's up to. I can meet myself with those fears. So it's really important that, yes, we live a life where we feel really fulfilled in our career, in our friendships, in our other relationships, in our experiences, even just walking out for a coffee. It's really important that you fucking love it when you walk to the coffee shop and you're feeling really connected to yourself and really in love with the world and not in fear. It's really important that, yes, we have all of those experiences and work's going great and you've got this boss babe energy within you where you're feeling really, really connected to whatever it is that you do. and also that you have amazing friendships around you and your relationships with your parents are going well. All of that is really important. And what happens is underneath that, all of those experience, what has to happen is that you're a woman that can really, really, really love yourself. So it's not just about the relationships. It's not just about the amazing career. It's not just about having healthy eating habits and looking after yourself, feeling really healthy and fit in your body. It's really about underneath all of that is like, how do I talk to myself when no one is around? How do I talk to myself about myself? Not just to the person that I quote unquote, I'm saying that I want to impress, but also to the average Joe. Like, who are you when you're not trying to prove something to someone else or to try and gain approval or validation, or you're saying to yourself, like, I need this person to like me. I need this person to love me. I need this person to think that I'm really confident. Who are you without that trap, without that thought of needing them to validate you? Who are you when things aren't going your way in your career, or maybe you've had a bust up with one of your girlfriends? How do you actually speak to yourself? What do you actually do? Do you actually courageously lean into the conversations when they're challenging? Do you allow yourself space before you do that and just give yourself a moment to just really reground and regroup and not tell yourself that you should have already had the courageous conversation? It's all of these really small nuances, and as my mentor Alexi Panos calls them, textures. It's like these textural feelings in your body and energies, like by the way you think and by the way you speak and by the way you feel, actually creates congruency. Because when your head, your heart, and your body are all in alignment and are all attuned to each other, you start vibrating from a different frequency. And what that means is you actually do move on in peace from any experience, whether it's, a breakup or a challenge in your career. Like, you become the woman who can hold herself. And that's really going to support you, not just in your next relationship with a man, but in every relationship in your life. Because it all of a sudden becomes about you. Because you're the epicenter of your world. You're the epicenter of your life, essentially. So as we round up this episode, I want to leave you with a question. What version of you gets to be born so that you can move on? Because right now, if you're struggling to move on and you find yourself in those thoughts of, oh, don't know what to do without him, and I can't believe he's with her, and what is it about her? You're essentially sitting in an identity that is experiencing less than, that is experiencing scarcity, limitation, fear, doubt. And the more you sit in that identity, it becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. So what you get to do, what you need to do, is to start landing in a new experience. So what does the version of you look like? How does she walk? How does she talk? How does she be with herself when she's experiencing some rage? When she's finding herself in that loop of comparison, what does she do? Do you give herself a moment to be like, yeah, I get it. It's really, really hard to see him moved on and to see her with her, to see him with her. It's really, really hard. We can do hard things. And yes, it's hard. And do you remember the relationship? Do you remember why you broke up? Do you remember how he treated you? Do you remember how you treated him? Do you remember all of the arguments? Do you remember, yes, the good times, but do you remember that those good times didn't last for the relationship to stay? So there's these kind of conversations that you get to have with yourself, and you get to remind yourself of who the fuck you are and the woman that you want to become. Because there does need to be a death and a rebirth. The version of you that is in the mess right now, in the mud, as I like to call it, well, she was also the same woman that accepted that relationship, that needed to break up because for whatever reason, it wasn't working. And you co-created and co-signed on that relationship. So this version of you, she has to die. And you have to rebirth yourself as a woman who knows who the fuck you are. From that space, you get to create a new life for yourself. I hope that you loved this episode. I really, really enjoy bringing my wisdom from my breakup to you and all of the experiences that I've had since and the work that I do, and how incredibly inspiring it is to be able to support women in knowing that there is a different possibility, knowing that there is a new way of living outside of something that is deeply painful and traumatic. So if you did enjoy the episode, please leave me a 5-star review and come and connect with me on Instagram at I am Anna Christina.